Organizing for Better Tomorrow. I'm here with the whole crew of people who are not infected with hantavirus. Thank you for that, everybody who has been watching out for what to do and what's going on. We're going to talk probably a bunch about that, let's be honest. We got Trump on the list, got stuff going on with Iran. McCary being fired, rumors again are weird. Aliens are back on the menu. I don't know what that's about. Seems like just more distractions from the Epstein files. Like they're distracting from the Iran war to distract from the Epstein files. Like everything's like a chain of like distract them from the last dumb thing they did.
We're in a hall of mirrors of distractions.
It is totally, and there's a lot of smoke, and I think it's crack smoke. Which, oh boy. Anyways, long COVID symposium at the Polybio. They're doing a thing. They just announced. It actually looks really good. The more I think, I always want to be cynical about long COVID stuff, but Polybio always seems to. I just, we'll talk about that. I'd like to see something that isn't happening, but maybe it could happen. I don't know. Maybe I could help. That'd be cool. Still got this Novax piece coming up, which is taking forever. It's really starting to come together. It's going to stop me from arguing with people on the internet. That's, I think, the most important part of this. I won't have to argue over this ever again. And then we're still trying to get the WHO to move up COVID vax releases and the whole meeting process and get that into their TAGUVAC thing. But with everything going on with the hantavirus, I'm not even sure if that meeting's happening right now. I don't know what's going on. But we're going to talk about it and kind of get to the bottom, explain to you at least we have been following. We do have a pretty good idea of what's happening with the hantavirus stuff, and it's not great. It isn't great. If you like what we're doing, please follow us on Twitter. You can also make a donation, or I don't know what's this. We'll say donation or contribution, but it sounds weird when I use that voice. But I have all my link tree up. If you like what you're doing and support it, we appreciate that in any way you can. That said, thinking about situations that need more support, who in the group thinks we're handling this most recent outbreak properly? Oh, silence.
Nobody.
Do we want to talk about what parts are going well? Are there any parts going well?
Are there any?
I don't know. I just realized it was the only question I didn't ask during pre-call.
Doesn't seem to be going well.
No, it does not seem to be.
It's been recommended that the passengers that have come back are, recommended to stay in Nebraska at the facility.
It's like this
recommended,
strongly worded letter.
Recommended.
So it's still you do you
Yes.
kind of thing, pandemic.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I guess that's not even a strongly worded letter. That's just a letter with words.
Suggestion.
Yeah, light suggestion.
I think the
Mild.
best thing we have going for us is the characteristics of the virus, which is never a good feeling.
Best thing we have going for us. Yeah, I mean,
Drowning in your lung juice.
Yeah.
That characteristic.
yeah. So if you guys don't know, with hantavirus, it basically just overwhelms your immune system until your lungs fill with fluid. That's why people end up on ventilators. Really, really terrible stuff. Which I do think people are. The worst thing that can happen is we have more cases and more people survive, and people are like, "See, it doesn't kill that many people because they had treatment." And you're like, the idea is that when you run out of the ability to treat, which we saw during COVID, when we had a much higher, we had more ventilators and more nurses and more stuff ready to go than we do now. Weirdly, especially the nurse issues. Terry will tell you, right, Terry? What do we run out of first, right?
Nurses, I'm seeing all over social media. If there's another pandemic, nurses are out. We are not doing this again.
Yeah.
So good luck with that.
Yeah. Good luck running the beds. We have plenty of beds, but no one to manage them. Is certainly something we're going to start hearing a lot more of. I remember we were hearing that when we were in peak COVID, when people were still on ventilators and nurses were getting sick, and there was okay, great, you have beds, but you don't have people to operate the beds.
Yeah, they were dying, and they're wearing garbage bags for PPE. No thanks.
Oh man. So the thing that bugs me about this is we're doing the math. It seems like this thing's got about a 21-day. Sorry, my cat is. Stop it.
22 incubation. 22-day incubation.
22-day incubation rate. It can be anywhere from 12 to 40 days, but we're seeing on average about 22 days. And so right now, the people we're seeing are the second wave of people who were infected by the wife of the initial infected man.
While she was still on board the ship.
while she was still on the ship. So she got off the ship several weeks after her husband died. So they're just floating around. And there were people infected by him that were infected at the same time as she was. Right? I feel like that's the only thing we didn't talk about, because there was the other person who died, the doctor who treated them, and then, so you're looking, that's your first wave, right? The guy gets infected at this trash site. He looking for birds. Apparently, he studied a specific type of hawk or something, and you go to trash sites to look at them as bird watchers. Is actually, I learned, very common with bald eagles, even, because the rats and the mice are at the trash site, and so the hawks are there to eat the rats. And the circle of life. Anyways,
Well, the landfill, I believe, is in question now because that seemed like that was too soon. So now they're suggesting he actually got it in
Oh,
F. I forgot was it no.
Argentina?
Yeah, it was Argentina. Tierra del Fuego?
that's the bird. Yeah, that's the bird.
The Johnny Rook
Yeah, it has
is
a
the bird.
pretty intense name. Is it? I thought it was the eagle with the fire on it.
But I didn't know it was in question about the landfill. Is
I didn't know
the-
that either. I feel like we should have covered this during pre-call.
Oh, we talked about it a bit, but basically the landfill was only visited by the couple about 8 days before.
Oh, that is pretty tight.
Yeah, he started showing symptoms, which is kind of soon, and there hasn't been any documented hantavirus cases in the area where the landfill is. But there's much more documented transmission in an area that the couple visited before the landfill.
Like
Oh.
a couple days earlier.
Right.
Quite a bit earlier, making his incubation period closer to 33 days, right? 33 to 40 or something. Versus from the landfill, it would have been, what, 8 days?
That does seem too fast.
So landfill tourism is back.
Yeah, landfill
Yeah.
tourism. No, never died,
Totally
apparently.
safe. Totally safe.
Oh, good.
Go bird watching at the landfill.
Oh my god, is this all
I'll go
just
landfill.
a plot by Big Landfill to not remove the bird watching that they're
or Sesame Street, Big Bird.
Big Bird? Oh my god, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. But the people we're seeing now who are testing positive are from that initial wave of the wife starting to show infections and the other person who was infected by the doctor who was treating them. So then you have 30 to 40 people who got off the boat with of her. And then she then got on a 4-hour flight to Johannesburg. And so we should be seeing if anyone's positive on that airline, we would be seeing that case like in the next week. But the people who deboarded could be going out and seeing people, because in other countries they're handling it all differently. Like, I don't think we've tracked down every single patient, or every single potentially exposed person. So you're looking at this. There could be someone who is showing symptoms, thinking it's no big deal at first, but you go from like no big deal to dead like really, really quickly. But you're infectious for up to like 3 days before you show symptoms. They say 2, but if it's 2, it's 3. You know what I mean? I think you're gonna be especially as you get more and more patients, the margins are all going to change, because that's what we saw with COVID. Like, COVID started out with deadlier, and the ratios, more and more people got infected, that ratio changes. So I feel like that's also going to be true, that you're going to see different people who are outliers, who are infectious earlier or longer, or maybe the person stays asymptomatic and never goes into full. I feel like it doesn't seem like that's really happening with this, but it does seem like the more people you get involved, the more likelihood that rare events occur. And so but this, in my opinion, before we even get to what the Tedros said today, I feel like the thing that is scary to me about this, because I do feel like even if this gets out of control, theoretically we could get it under control, and it'd be very slow moving. Like, even if it's kind of like a couple of them pop up, you can do source control. If people do what they say they can do, it's possible. But my problem is, is hantavirus is I hate to use the word, but endemic in rat populations around the world. Like, it's in rats everywhere. And that can always transfer to humans, but it's not likely to transfer between humans because of a 3 amino acid difference is all it is. So so when you're looking at whether or not this can make it into animal populations is what I'm really worried about. So, like, if this can go and replace other animal reservoirs, then we could have the Andes variant of hantavirus being endemic in rats in America or any country, and that would make it a consistent problem.
Not good.
Not good. Super bad. Like, you would have random hantavirus outbreaks between, like, families and households. You would just have, like, you know, baseball teams, like kids on sleepovers. Like, you start getting into, like, it could start popping up in just, like, really weird places, and the human to human transfer with a long, because the thing is like, okay, so let's say it's 21 days. So 3 weeks after you're exposed, you start showing symptoms. You start, excuse me, transmitting virus with no symptoms, just randomly, sometime between 3 and 8 weeks.
And that's not what they were saying at first. At first,
If I just want to clarify where we came up with the 22, that was the 22 average till people started showing symptoms, 22 average incubation. That was based on the 2018 case at the birthday party and based on the cases that have shown up here so far.
So it's like a median. Yeah, I mean, we're just generalizing.
Yeah.
Because even when you want to talk about it in, like, it's 21 days, it could be much, much longer than that. That's just on average. You know, you can always, like I said, the more patients you have, the more outliers you have, and the more, like, random, that doesn't make any sense situations you end up with, just because that's what happens. It's the same thing with, like, everything. It's a law of large numbers thing. You just start running into problems at a certain scale. It's actually why vaccines are done at a certain scale, when you have to do, like, really big cohorts, because you start finding these random rare events. You find, like, 1 or 2, but if they're in, like, a 5,000 person cohort, you know, you extrapolate that to the rest of the world, and you have thousands and thousands of cases of negative outcomes. So yeah, so it's all, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if what is going to happen here, but there's a lot of potential for it to not be good, especially with the gutted at the CDC. We can thank Elon Musk again, because Doge gutted the program meant to study spread on cruise ships. So that theoretically could have stalled the whole process. Like, if there are Americans on the ship and there was any type of, like, thing like this, then we should have had American CDC on there right away doing what needs to happen, working in coordination with the WHO. But we deemed those rules excessive and unnecessary, I think was the phrasing they used, right?
I will say, according to HHS, they've been saying since this outbreak occurred that staff was not cut. So they've been disputing that whole thing in the first place. I don't know who's correct or who's not.
And you know what? There's the problem. We'll tell you on Thursday's call when they finally figure out to be continued. I feel like it's just you never really know with anything these days. Like, well, actually, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, so we're not done talking about the hantavirus stuff, but the whole McCary, is McCary getting fired? He's getting fired, he's not getting fired. Trump says he's not getting fired. Everyone else is saying he's next on the chopping block. I don't see any reason he would get fired, honestly, to be real. Like, maybe because he doesn't do anything, but you get fired based on whether or not you're, like, making Trump look bad or are a woman. Seems to be.
Who knows in this administration?
Yeah, I don't know at all. But going back to the hantavirus, we do know that the people who are testing positive now are coming out of that second wave of exposure. So whatever the next wave is, the one we got to look for. And if we don't have any virus pop up, we're pretty much in the clear, depending on how sick people get that are sick, like how long they can pass the virus for. But they're going to be in a hospital if they get sick. like total controlled environment. Like but again, you're back to where is all their waste going? Is it going into just the general system? And then you're back to, well, now we can get animal population. So even if you're like, yeah, we could get this under control, are we getting it under control enough? And I'm gonna almost.
That's the concern: the waste stream and the rat issue.
Yeah, because if the whole thing is you get hantavirus from dried up excrement, then the humans who are infected with it are going to be pooping it out.
And the rats are going to be eating it.
That's how they get
That's
COVID.
cute.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same way it ends up in like deer populations and stuff. The COVID. You know, because we're kind of gross with how we handle all the waste. So, I mean, kind of gross is a gross overstatement or understatement. Excuse me.
I've not heard anyone bring this angle up.
No, I don't think so, and I think it's a much. And the more I think about it, the bigger the concern is. Because let's say we have 3 patients, 10 positives, right? Let's say that turns into, or 3 dead and 10 positives. That could turn into, 30 positives really, really fast. And let's say we still get that under control. They're all putting out waste that has virus in it at home. Even if they are at home and don't infect anybody, it's still going into the wastewater system. And because it comes from dried wastewater, it's still an issue. And it could very well make it into animal populations. So that's my thing. Someone, just the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this is really bothersome.
Well, rest assured, RFK's in charge.
He's probably going to try to
I feel much better now.
We should tell him, and maybe he'll go bathe in it for immunity.
He commented on it at the Trump's press conference about this moms.gov thing today.
Mm.
Did he?
Yeah, he'll make you feel a lot better. Here's what he said.
We have this under control, and we're not worried about it.
That's what he said.
Oh, thank goodness!
Lovely.
I feel so much better.
We have this under control, and we're not worried about it.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds so familiar. I feel like I've heard that said before.
Yeah, where
6 or so years ago.
I feel like I've heard it before too. They did not, in fact, have it under control. Which, we're doubling up on wastewater because we're talking about the hantavirus wastewater. We're talking about RFK's favorite afternoon drink. I figured we should also talk about they're cutting wastewater for COVID again. They're talking about removing. They changed the variants back to. They're doing it once a month, which we were like, okay, that's terrible. But whatever. Just
especially right before VRDPAC.
Right before VRDPAC and choosing variants. And then did get an update, by the way. But now they're talking about pulling the wastewater entirely. They're saying they're gonna dump it. They're gonna dump it and stop using it in June when they're gonna update it again. And there seems to be no real reason for this. It just seems like they're gonna stop. I don't know if they're gonna stop gathering the data or they're gonna stop giving us the data. But we're gonna stop getting the data. And that is particularly troublesome because you can't really rely on the testing stuff. So, like, for example, we have BA.3.2 popping up in the testing. It keeps popping up in like large groupings. But the thing is, there's so little testing happening that, it's a high number of 20 tests. So there's some reason that BA.3.2 is getting caught on these tests. It doesn't mean it's necessarily dominant. It just means that people are more likely to have a symptom people can identify, and they get tested, and there it is, BA.3.2. It was showing up more severe in kids. I think that's very troublesome. But we see BA.3.2 come in and come out all over the world. We've seen it in all the countries. But the wastewater gives a much clearer picture because it's literally what everybody who is infected. Now, it's possible that some variants may not create as much wastewater material, that goes all the way through your body. That's possible, but we haven't really seen too many examples of that. I did have a theory that BA.2, when we saw that giant spike, was because it put more wastewater out, material. I'm trying to just talk about this in a sanitized way. So I don't know. It's just, I feel it's a really good thing. And then we got Trump talking about he wants to gather wastewater and use it to catch people on drugs. And you're just like, That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
It's not
Let's stop using it for infection control and use it for
policing. Yeah, policing. Or I think he's just trying to figure out who has the good drugs.
for his son.
Yeah. Oh man, I did learn more. We were talking about the gambling
Allegedly.
Poly Market. Yeah, allegedly, the Poly Market thing. I didn't realize he was on the board of Poly. I think it's Poly Market. He's on the board of, right? The gambling site. It's Kashi and the other one, but Barron Trump is on like the actual.
Aaron's on the board?
Yeah, he's on the
Really?
actual board of it. Here, let me double check
I
that.
didn't know that.
Great.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
the record, I think Jesse was talking about Donald Jr.,
I was.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about Barron.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
Well,
It's
he
He's
has
got a bunch of insider trading stuff going on too, I think.
These Trumps start out young. But,
yeah.
Family business.
Family business. Hey, at least they're already better at it than their dad is. That guy can't even do fraud right. I mean, he's finally like second time's a charm on being president. Had to dodge. Like, I don't know, man. This is such a mess. There's so like, who do you blame, other than obviously the voters, right? No, I'm kidding. Never. The voters are never at fault. I just feel like, as a a lot of my Democratic activism has been coming back up lately, and some of having to explain some of the things that went on, and I just think that like. There's never been a more important time for Democrats to get it right.
Mhm.
And I don't really see a lot of that happening, which is just like, it's kind of like how I was joking, maybe it's not funny, but like, we handled COVID so terribly. COVID is, I hate to say this, but it's easy to control if you clean the air and do basic things, and it's easy to control. There is an asymptomatic issue. There is a lot of this other stuff, but you can do things to make it not a complete and total mess like we're doing. Hantavirus is even easier to control in the sense that you just have to do extended lockdowns with people. Like all these, I understand actually getting these people off the boat. I understand that because the boat is not a safe place for them to all be with sick people, because you could just be transmitting again. But this is what you just have a boat full of people with hantavirus and everyone, 30% of those people die. You can't do that. That makes sense. But like, you have to have like source control on it in kind of like a big way. Like you get a warehouse and put up a bunch of tents and do the things, and people are like isolated with no shared air until they're like past 40 days, which seems like horrible treatment, but you're like, that's what you have to do. But it's easy. It only takes 40 days. Every time somebody gets out and exposes someone else, it's another 40 days. So I feel like this was like the T-ball of like, this should be easy to handle. You should be able to source control that. And whether or not it will get out of control or not is up for debate, but we can definitely say they are not source controlling this properly from the get-go. And I feel like anyone from these like regions where like this is from, I feel like it just should have been a faster.
We should be paying people to quarantine.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, it should just be part of the thing.
Oh God, give the peasants money? No.
they're gonna miss work. They have to take out 40 days of their life.
It's like jury
So-
duty.
Yeah, but won't they feel so much better at the end of that 40 days when they come out clean and clear and they didn't infect anybody
Well,
else?
also they should be near medical care, like the whole time, because like you show symptoms and go from like symptoms to dead in like a day sometimes. So like, you really need like you need to be near medical care if you do start showing symptoms. And even they've said that in a couple of the public health people, where they're like, we have them where there's medical care ready for them should they start, turning into like if the zombie virus infects them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've heard possibly the worst thing to ever come out of the WHO today in regards to all this. It was Tedros talking about how the woman is very old and she, how uncomfortable that could be to wear a mask, so we couldn't expect her to do that. And I was just like,
Unbelievable.
are you kidding me? These are the same people who lied about COVID being airborne, are like now lying about, I don't know, I want to just say they're lying, but they're just, being bad. Like, if they were trying to make it spread, then they have their priorities in the right order.
Yeah, I saw a clip of Maria. What's her name? Karkovic? I forget her name, from WHO, and
Right.
she actually finally said today, N95s, respirator masks for these people.
Yeah, there's just no reason not to. Even if it turns out that you can protect yourself fine with a surgical mask, which in this instance you probably can, unless you're like a really high, like just for general exposure, like anything will be better. Why wouldn't you go for the higher level of, like, especially when like the government or the WHO or someone should be paying for it? Like, give them a stack of respirators and call it a day. Like, what's the big deal? I don't understand
she
the
kind of
resistance.
danced around it in that first day, and she said about it being aerosolized, but never really, and that people taking care of these people should have PPE, but she never actually said airborne or N95. So now, said N95.
Well, good. I mean, that's great. They did take down that tweet finally about COVID not being airborne after we all took a million screenshots of it. But they did finally take that tweet down, which is good, I guess. I'm not sure. I think. I don't know. Maybe
The WHO did not take theirs down, though.
I thought
Correct?
I thought the WHO took theirs down. That's what I'm talking about.
No, only the scientist that you guys were talking about took hers down. Her personal tweet.
Oh, okay. I thought the big yellow thing from the WHO that I myself
No,
have
it's just
several
Maria's.
Oh, god damn it. Well, maybe that's there's no right answer here, because like maybe it's good they take it down because they're acknowledging it, or maybe it's good they leave it up so that they're seen to be historically incorrect.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that. About if they can actually point that out and say this is our historically incorrect moment.
Yeah, that would be good. I don't think that's
It's
going
like,
to happen though.
Like ripping down statues. Like, should we rip them down or should we put them in a museum and say we had this, like, when this really bad thing happened in our history?
I suppose it depends on how many people this person in the statue may have murdered.
Right,
Like,
but
I think
maybe
it's direct. There's a correlation there between the two.
yeah.
Like, if the guy's still alive, like you just deposed him, you should definitely take the statue down and destroy it. If it's like someone from like a couple hundred years ago, then yeah, that's like ISIS stuff destroying history.
Like Civil War stuff, I was kind of thinking of.
Oh,
like, where you'd like put.
I
it in
know
a
the
museum.
guy. I'm friends. Well, I was friends with. I don't talk to him in years, but the guy who took down all those statues, the guy that was in charge of that, he was one of our Bernie people. Ripped all those statues down. I got to see him. I went there once before they tore them out. They were humongous. The one thing you don't really get is just their pure scale. And then at the very end, there was like a one dedicated to a black person. It's like, okay. And then good, right? Good. But kind of weird. Kind of weird.
Maybe one day we'll put that gold Trump statue into a museum. I don't know if you guys saw that. The gold Trump.
I saw it, yeah.
Who
And I thought praying to golden idols was like one of the real early no-nos from God, but what do I know?
It's only like a second commandment, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's low on the list.
So, I think I saw this, but I didn't actually look at it. But I do like the headline, Pastor defends gold Trump statue from biblical backlash. I think that this is like, we've talked about The Boys every night, and we're supposed to be boycotting it because of the one actor who plays Frenchie was on the IDF. And you should know that, but it's still historically relevant to what's happening right now, because in The Boys, they're doing the exact same thing with Homelander. Homelander is being
Oh my God.
replaced as...
I just realized they had a golden statue of Homelander too, just like this.
Yes.
Wow.
just like this. Just like this, with his hand in the air and everything. And like they're replacing God in the Boys series with Homelander. Not Homelander is the son of God. Homelander is God. And that's kind of like he's kind of losing his mind is the point. Anyways, so I should go back to the big point is he's losing his mind. He thinks he's talking to things. He's just losing it. So it actually fits with what's happening. But what's funny is the creator of the show talks about this, and he's like, we shot this 2 years ago. Like, they wrote this like 3 years ago. They thought when they did this, it was too wild to be real, and it's lining up to like the week at the point that I feel like they're copying what they're seeing on The Boys. Like, yeah, we should do that with Trump. That's a good idea. Like, I feel like that's really like It's so close. I don't know how it's possible. But they didn't just whip out this golden statue in a day or a week or whatever. This is something someone's been working on probably for a while. They didn't make a cast and the whole
Yeah.
thing. This is not something that just came out of nowhere. Unless it's just like spray painted cement. I don't know. Even that would take a long time. So let's make a cement mold and spray paint it gold.
Yeah, even that takes a little time.
Yeah, any of this takes a little bit of time. So just the way it's lining up so exactly as a mockery of this moment is just, I don't know. I think this is going to be looked back on like as like a history or like art mocking history moment, like a really important one. It sounds weird, but I think it is because it's just what the hell. They're also using a virus to kill soups. It's kind of like the hantavirus too, actually. True story. Spoilers. Speaking of spoilers for season 2 of Planet Earth, Donna, I don't think we've properly given Donna credit for her call out that they were going to be talking about aliens as the next distraction. Was the distraction from Iran? That's the distraction from the Epstein list. That's the distraction from ICE. That's a distraction from all the crimes that Trump is a rapist, pedophile. Anyways, so yeah, aliens, Donna. You get? Do we have a
Aliens.
I need a buzzer. I need a sound so I can like cheering crowd for you. We need a budget to work. Please donate so we can get some sounds that annoy you with. I think I can do it on Discord. There was a soundboard. Wow, that was horrible, but good try. Good try. Points for an attempt. I was like, it sounded like static to me.
Oh,
But Donna, let's focus on Donna. It's her time to get an award for getting it right because it was the next day they released alien stuff. The next day, you were like, aliens. It's gonna be aliens, and it was the next day. So
Aliens.
points, Donna, points. We're not keeping score.
Aliens.
Points, and you don't get anything for them, but points.
Accolades.
Accolades. Yeah, we'll get you a funny alien patch or something. So I feel like kind of going back around.
I would have been so excited about this if this was 1995. About this alien thing.
Oh,
Right?
right.
Did you
yeah.
all see Did you see the fake disclosure thing with the feline woman?
No.
Please share with the
It
group.
was great. Oh, I mean, I'll have to find the tweet I saw of it and post it under this, but it was this whole thing from like 95, and they had like a screenshot of the paper, and it looked all sort of official, and it was talking about this encounter with a woman that had some feline features, like basically ears and a tail. And, you know, she spoke through telepathy, but she also spoke in English. She knows several of our languages of this earth. And it was this whole thing. And I'm like, wow, this has to be my favorite of the disclosures. Of course, it was all bullshit.
It's like the guy who runs FEMA is saying, I keep teleporting places. You're like, no, that's called being blackout drunk. Because I've gone to a Waffle House, I've ended up in a ditch, I've ended up in my car, and you're like, yeah, bro, you're blackout drunk. You just don't remember.
I mean, instead of teleporting, he should just call it being abducted and dropped off.
Right,
That's really what it
aliens.
sounds more
Exactly.
like. It's aliens.
Yeah, aliens. Must be aliens. Thank you.
It's
for
always
solving that.
aliens.
I actually, just to be legit about aliens for a minute, the likelihood of there being life on another planet that is capable of interdimensional space travel and beating the speed of light is not impossible because it's the infinite, but like when you think about the age of the solar system and like why things are going and like all this sort of stuff, I mean, why?
Of course.
People are more likely to have been huffing something. I'm just saying, let's be realistic.
It's just things are so weird on Earth now that like talking about that just seems I don't know, insignificant or something.
Well, I did enjoy that the church is saying that they're gonna have to like re-examine their like view on God, which also fits into what's happening on The Boys, but for different reasons. They did that on The Boys this season, but I feel like it's I don't know. I feel like we're in a place. I keep saying I feel like because what do you feel like, Don? that this show has become my therapy. No, we're basically at this point where everything is going to change in this next election cycle. Like, everything is about to change because either the Republicans are about to get absolutely wiped out or they're going to steal the midterms. And if they steal the midterms, we could be in for a very bad time. And if they get wiped out, they're still going to be very annoying, but not as bad of a time. But still a lot of work, a lot of things are going to change, a lot of things we look back at like are going to be different. Our relation, we haven't even started feeling the fallout of this dumbass Epstein Fury war with Iran. Like, we haven't even started feeling it because it's really only going to start, because there's this difference between companies pre-gouging you because they know there's going to be a shortage, and then there's a difference between an actual fucking shortage. And so whether or not we have shortages of oil directly in America, okay, maybe not, but the production of what oil goes into around the world, where oil is not making it to those places anymore, we're going to be at the end of the list of getting, like, it's not good. Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be
If
all
it goes
kinds of
on
weird
long
stuff.
enough, we are going to have shortages.
And medications are going to get more expensive too.
Yeah.
So it's we haven't even started feeling that. So it's coming. Even if they fix everything tomorrow, we're still going to have these like momentary, like the longer it takes. What did we say? What was it? 60 days for the boats, or it was 60 days for the boats to make it from Iran to their end location. They move very slowly, something like that. And so, however long we start, it'll still be that long until the boats start landing again if they're not leaving. And more boats are leaving the strait than they say, but not enough still. So
I saw this thing today that was saying about how it's raising the cost of shipping everywhere, like sea shipping, just because of this. Like, that aren't even connected with things that don't even go through that area at all. Because there's so much more traffic. These boats have to sort of just wait where they're at, and everything's, there's all kinds of downstream effects that this is causing that are also negative.
Yeah, the boats need their own oil, like, you know what I mean, not just whatever they're carrying. It's there's a lot of moving pieces, and the bottom line is that also keep in mind. Remember, this is actually my bottom line. Is how poorly maintained these boats are. Remember the boat that crashed into that bridge, that little huge land bridge, and it knocked it out a little bit ago? That was because it had like a series of faulty systems, and then the backup system failed. So the longer these boats are like in these idling positions, the longer they're just going to have more of these types of problems. So you're really inviting like a whole slew of like upkeep issues by doing it this way. It's just so typical of like when Trump screws something up, it doesn't just screw up the thing he's actually trying to do. It has a whole downward spiral of how all these things are interconnected. Even when you talk about like outside of just trade in general, like the actual boats themselves.
And there doesn't seem to be any sign of him like letting up on this. He basically just said that he sent sort of a resolution to them, and they sent it back, and he said it was totally unacceptable. And he's talking about renewing Project Freedom, his escorting the boats through the strait, which would be probably just as big of a disaster as it was the first time.
Well, he needs to have an excuse to keep the boats in the region so that he can restart the war after 30 days. So the way the law works, we looked this up, is kind of obnoxious. There's no true ends. Like, he can go to war without talking to Congress for 60 days, and then he has 30 days to wind down the war. And then there is no time limit on how much time must elapse before he goes back to war. So he can immediately go back to war with Iran for 60 days and then wind down for 30 days and then kind of have that like back and forth of 30 days, 60 days, 30 days, 60 days, 30 days. So he'll be like in that 30-day period, he'll be constantly making up excuses. The boats are going, they're staying, they're coming, they're going, they're staying, they're coming, they're going. 30 days passes, we're going back to war because Iran didn't agree to our terms. And that's what's going to happen.
Even if they don't start escorting these ships, they're still sitting out there doing the blockade of the blockade.
Right.
So they're still right there. I mean, it's far away. I think it's like 600 miles or something. It's far from where.
Also, keeping these boats out is really expensive. You have to feed all these people. They were running into food issues for the soldiers and staff weeks ago. They were running into food issues. I can't imagine those food issues have gotten any better. So you're also like making people like like work on. It's just a horrible all around. Just
Yeah. Another thing I didn't bring up the other night that I forgot to was that the whole reason this whole, I think, Project Freedom failed, I think, is because Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, they basically said we could use their space, and they basically reversed their decision for us to use their airspace and their bases there. So that was another aspect of why it stopped, why Trump stopped doing that. They didn't want to participate.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It was the same reason they tried to buy Spirit Airlines. They're going to take half the fleet and take them over to the Spirit Airlines thing's turning into quite the thing, by the way. Because they were going to get $400 million from Trump. The government was going to own 90% of the company, and 50% of the flight of the planes were going to be flipped over for military use. That's how bad the situation is with our planes. We were trying to buy, and that would have been a freaking steal when it comes to Spirit Airlines, because those planes are worth a lot more than that. So it would have been a steal for the government. That's why they walked away from it. But that guy who's trying to crowdsource to save Spirit Airlines, the last time I saw a number was like 2 days ago, and they had $330 million.
Wow.
And
That's a hell of a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they actually have the money yet. I think it's all in like promises or whatever. But like when I saw the numbers, they were kind of smaller donations. They weren't like really like thousands of dollars from tons of people, or hundreds of thousands of dollars from just a few people. Excuse me. It seemed like it was all smaller stuff. Now I imagine there's probably bigger numbers. The last time I checked in, it was like 100 million, and it was still really small.
It's like
donation.
3,000 jobs in South Florida from Spirit Airlines. It hurts if they're gone.
Yeah, I would like to see us get fixed. I think it's another thing Trump took from us, because in a reasonable situation, the only reason they were getting pushed out was because of oil prices, which Trump also caused.
Yeah.
So,
It's probably gonna get worse because of jet fuel, but
yeah, probably.
The one temporary hope about the Iran situation is that Trump is slated to meet Xi Jinping of China on the 14th. So I don't think he wants to maybe cause too much trouble before then. So maybe he won't restart the bombing war part until after that.
When is the 30 days? When is the 30 days? When was the 60 days up? It was a couple weeks ago now, right?
Yeah, I think it was on May 1st.
So you're looking at he just needs to make it through the month, get all the important business done, and then start bombing him again for Netanyahu, who will continue bombing Lebanon into the ground, destroying Lebanon, and all of this stalling just lets them keep bombing Lebanon.
Yeah. And Netanyahu was on 60 Minutes the other night basically saying the mission is not done, with Iran.
Great. That's fantastic. That's just what I want to hear. Said literally no one. Why do they let that guy in 60 Minutes? I mean, come on.
Why do they let him in the country? He should be arrested.
I mean, yeah, ask yourself.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Yeah. It's kind of like everything you talk about right now. Like, nothing is going that great. And it's not that it's going bad because anything other than just the people handling it are, horrible at handling it and shouldn't be in power. The whole hantavirus, Trump, they're all so, tied into each other. And even when you talk about COVID being a factor with damaged immune systems, so the hantavirus is more likely to spread to humans if your immune system is damaged. That's why I talked about this on the last show, but there's this thing on the mRNA vaccine. Things to look for after vaccination is hantavirus. Hantavirus is one of the options, and that I believe is because of in the initial rollout, if people were first exposed, if you had too close to each other, you ended up with high IgG4, which is I've talked a lot about this on the show. It's actually going to be a whole slide in this presentation that I'm working on. But basically, hantavirus is one of the things because people with high IgG4 are more likely to contract hantavirus. So just something that's actually in the Pfizer documents that the people are saying it's the virus, it's the vaccine. See, guys, it's in the paperwork, and there's like, yeah, there's a legitimate reason for that. But that also overlays into the problem we're experiencing right now, where normally maybe this might happen, but it wouldn't make it very far because people's immune systems are kind of functional. Innate immune system works pretty well. If it does what it's doing, it should stop transfer in a lot of cases, unless you like have a high exposure dose. And so the more damaged your immune system is, the lower the exposure dose you need. Though we do have a study for COVID where it's like one viron to infect. They did a forced infection study with one single viron, and it was able to infect somebody and start an infection. But I don't know how much that overlays. I just know in general that the more immune suppression we have, the more likely you see these things. Because like hantavirus is one of the things is like, we were talking about this also, Legionnaire's disease is something to look for. Like whenever you see a big pocket of Legionnaire's disease, it's probably a damaged immune systems, or like it started with a damaged immune system. Because you get it from standing water. That's how we found out my mom had cancer. She got Legionnaire's from a hot tub.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. It was either from a hot tub or from a steam engine that blew smoke in her face. Steam in her face on like a train. It was like either one of those two things. The train probably is more likely now that I say it aloud, but that's a way. Normally you get exposed to Legionnaire's disease, nothing happens because your immune system can handle it fine. This is what we talk about. Like, there's a lot of ways for pathogens to become more like problematic, and like one is your immune system gets weaker, and the other is that it has access to more hosts, and though after it infects a certain amount of people, it becomes better at infecting people. And when you're talking, it's only 3 amino acid changes in hantavirus to make it go human to human. That's not a lot of changes. We see those kind of changes in COVID all the time, like between patients. Is that likely to happen here? Well, it hasn't really yet. They're 99% similar, but how many amino acids does it take change? Like, how many does it have total to be like, well, what percentage is 3? It's probably much smaller. I'm not here prepared to talk about how many amino acids are in the hantavirus, but I'll look it up. Let's do it. Actually, I was looking at it earlier today, and there's like thousands because someone had the DNA chains. So I was actually, now that I remember thinking about it for 1 second, I was actually looking at that on Twitter not that long ago. So it's a lot. So it's very small changes to have a big difference. So it's not good. But but getting more hosts is always a problem. That's why this show is a little bit of an exception. Now we have lots of people talking, and it's been kind of working out. Thank you, everyone, by the way, who showed us support the last couple of days and has been listening in. Our last call actually was like one of our most listened to calls in, I think, the whole year. So thank you for everyone who did that. And some people put out some support and made some donations. I really appreciate that, too. We're going to figure out how to do that. Apparently, that's just a thing shows do at a certain point, and we're going to figure out how to make that a special experience for the people who are helping keeping us going. On that note, I do want to say something about keeping us going, which is this long COVID symposium that's coming up from Polybio. They do something every spring. I'm not sure why the 2002 and the 6 are in different fonts on their website, but other than that, it's pretty good. Lots of interesting things coming. A couple people I don't like are going to be here, but they're talking about things that we're talking a lot about. They're talking more about neutrophil-driven disease and how we're analyzing people's blood better. There's a lot of things. I like how macrophages are popping up. I had said a long time ago that macrophage treatments are going to be a solution for a lot of stuff. It's in my long COVID article. Maybe it's in my long COVID article. It's something I would say. And we're seeing some of that. So that's exciting. There's actually a weird one that I really want to see, which you wouldn't think would be interesting. It's a post-mortem mapping of SARS-CoV-2 persistence in sudden cardiac death. I really want to see that, because this is something that I've been talking a lot about, and I am 100% sure if he has something to present at all, it's not to say that it's not happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the guy who does that in San Francisco, in the last symposium from Polybio, was very interesting. That section of the symposium.
Yeah.
So hope maybe you'll have some more stuff to share.
I have two notes for these folks. I feel like 10 minutes is just not enough time. They're only giving these people 10 minutes to talk. I feel like it's just going to be rushed and they're going to skip over. Maybe they only need 10 minutes, but I feel like 10 minutes is too fast. They're just cramming so much in. This really should be 2 days of event, and they should have more, give everyone a little more time. The other thing I'd like to say is that I feel like there's just, we're seeing all this really great science being done, which I got to give it to them. They're at least go in the right direction on pretty much everything. Is we're just not seeing enough like application out of it. There are a couple of people who are presenting an application. They're mostly the people I don't I don't care for, but we're just not we're not in this place like you learn something and you confirm something has happened. We can extrapolate without more testing. You can do more testing on that extrapolation, but we should be able to extrapolate on that and be like, okay, well, if that's happening, then this is how the body works in this regard. It's like the NET thing. So the basic breakdown is they're neutrophil extracellular traps. They're like clumps of DNA and like web-like materials that grab together and they pick stuff up. They move things around the body. Usually they pick up virus, and then your DNA system, that's capital D, capital A, capital D, capital N, lowercase ASES, so I say DNases, I think that's right. That system comes in and metabolizes those. So when we look at blood clots that are building up, that are being built around these NETs, the problem isn't that the blood clots are building up. The problem is that the system that cleans up the blood clots has gone dysfunctional. And that is something they've proven with COVID, because COVID can make any system go dysfunctional. But there is a study explaining how your DNA system goes dysfunctional and then NETs start building up. And this is how, when you then add the waste from syncytial formations, what we call the thrombosis, where it's destroying red blood cells and destroying, not red blood, it's destroying the veins of your walls. Sorry, I didn't think I'd be talking about this, but it destroys the veins of your walls, and all that material that has to go somewhere. So it builds up in these nets, and then those become microclots, and then they all fuse back together because of the stuff. But it all started because your body wasn't metabolizing the individual parts properly, because the system that metabolizes it goes into dysfunction. I haven't seen anyone say that. We have studies that support that. I haven't seen anyone talk about that. I've seen lots of people talk about this sort of stuff, but they don't go into, they're like, okay, we got to figure out, they want to create a medication that fixes your NETs, when really we need a medication that re-regulates the system that cleans the NETs out. So I feel like everything is just kind of always like one step away from where we want to be, which is frustrating. But, it's still really good work, and it's really nice to see so much of this stuff be cemented, So there's that. I would definitely look for this. What's the date on this? Friday, May 22nd. So it's coming up. And it's just going to be 10 minutes. It's going to be fast. I think it's always worth watching. I'm a big fan of Polybio and their work on long COVID.
Yeah, there's just a lot of 10 minutes presentations. It still ends up being like 3 hours long or something.
Yeah, it's still long. It starts at 11 and it ends at 5, so it's 6 hours.
Oh, even longer. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably a break somewhere in there, but they do discussion Q&As that are. I just think 10 minutes isn't enough to do, like, having done a bunch of these like 3 and 4 minute presentations. Like, if I want to explain something super complicated and nuanced and not speak super fast. Because getting like 4 or 5 minutes, I got 5 minutes one time with CDC, or no, with we're doing, I think, pertussis or something. I had like a ton of time, and it was still like, I only had like 8 slides, and it was still very slow. It's a good presentation though. IgG4 is a big issue. That's why I was talking about that, because I did that basically to like try to convince them that the IgG4 issue in the mRNA is an issue that we acknowledge already in other avenues. So like we already recognize it with the pertussis with DTaP. It does this too, but we time vaccines around it so that it doesn't make vaccines less effective, which is another thing we're not talking about with all these kids. And I think it's kind of why we see more partially vaccinated kids showing up with like measles and stuff like that. And I think it's because if you administer a measles vaccine within that IgG4 window, it's going to make it less effective. So It's just.
So we need a better pertussis vaccine.
Well, yes, yeah, but it's only when we time for it already. Yes, we do, because the pertussis, the acellular pertussis, is not very good. It's also doesn't protect for long enough, so it has a lot of problems. Well, it has a lot of problems actually. So we need a better antigen, right? We don't need a better vaccine. We need a better pertussis antigen, because the other two antigens in it there's nothing wrong with them. 10 years for what's it called? The thing you get from why am I forgetting what it is? It's like one of the biggest killers of humans in history. You get it from rust. It's just
Tetanus.
Tetanus. Thank you. The tetanus one, 10 years, excellent protection, and it is kind of still lifelong protection. Like, you stop showing antibodies, but you're like, if you've ever gotten it, you're very unlikely to die from it. Getting lockjaw and all that sort of stuff. So, like, if you didn't know, by the way, tetanus killed more humans. It's like it than mosquitoes. So the vaccine's a big deal, and kids really need it. But the acellular pertussis is a problem. But my point is we were presenting on it the issue because we don't time around it for mRNA the way we do for DTaP, and we should. And honestly, this is another reason we need pediatric Novavax. This is a whole slide in my presentation, is the idea that we need to have a vaccine for kids that doesn't produce the IgG4 at all, and we have that. And if it is administered with DTaP at the same time, the increase. So the Matrix M has a thing where it upregulates IgG2 and IgG3 in advance of IgG1. Does it? So that's how it helps with immunocompromised people, because normally a vaccine starts at IgG1 and then it's a series of IgG being activated that it activates all this other stuff, and everything's talking to each other, giving you immunity, and so this activates that IgG2 and IgG3, and that's the problem with the class switch when you talk about IgG1 and IgG4, because it's the non-binding antibody IgG4, so you don't want that. You're just going to be more vulnerable to disease. And I think, honestly, one of the things we talk about is how autistic people tend to be at more risk for disease like this, and it has to do with high IgG4 is a very consistent factor with autistic people. It's just not something we use to test for autism or whatever, but it is a consistent factor. So it's usually why people have reduced immunity. And then when you get older, you can get IgG4 related disease, which there's just a ton of them, and that means you have too much IgG4, and that makes your immune system weaker. It's one of the ways your immune system goes weaker as you get older. You have less IgG1 and more IgG4. So having a vaccine that does that to children doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially two, or at least not timed around. Drives me nuts. So it really bugs me. It really bothers me. Should it bother me as much as it does? Yes, absolutely, because it's affecting every child. It's the one thing about vaccine activism that's super cool after doing Democratic Party activism is the work we did to keep Novavax alive helped Matrix M make it into, I shouldn't say make it into, because they were already doing the testing, but keeping the company alive made the malaria vaccine be able to come to market, and that's going to help tons and tons of people in Africa. And I don't know anyone maybe I know someone in Africa. I don't think off the top of my head. So being able to help those folks without going there or doing anything is super cool. Well, we did stuff, but without going there or knowing anyone, I should say, it's super cool. So if we could get better vaccine stuff, and I hope, and this is the thing with RFK and what an idiot he is, and how bad he screwed things up. I just really hope that when we go to put things back together, we're not just automatically doing everything the old way that we did it. I hope that people really are open to having a conversation to how can we improve upon this, rather than being just it was fine the way it was, and you're was it though? Was it better? It was fine. That's how I sound to myself, I assume.
Or they'll restore that one thing.
Right, exactly. Ugh. They're already talking about putting 80-year-olds back in charge of Congress if Democrats win. They're going to put all the old guard back in charge of everything. And just I hate it here.
Who is that? What do you? Is that
the
something-
Democratic leadership in Congress is talking about. It's kind of the same overlapping, similar idea that
No,
if
it's
they,
exactly the same.
it's exactly, if they take over Congress, that they're gonna put all the senior leadership back into their senior leadership roles, but all these people are like in their 70s and 80s. So they've named who they're going to put in charge of different committees. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but it's people like Clyburn, who I might be actually getting gerrymandered out right now.
Oh, really? That would be good news.
No, me.
You what?
No, yes, no. I don't like the guy very much, but no, not good news. Because they're gerrymandering all the states. So he's in South Carolina, and so they're, they're making all the states pure red, or at least in theory. Like, we'll see what actually happens. I think it's just very important that people not feel like, I keep saying, don't feel like this, man. If defeated about the whole thing, like people feel very, very defeated, so they're not going to vote or get out there and be involved. And that's really important that people not feel that way and not do that, because the only way to beat this is by really high voter turnout and people voting against this thing. That's it. That's the only way out.
It would be good news if we got somebody better than him, but I don't know. That's the only way it could turn out to be good news, I guess.
I don't know.
Well, Mark Elias has filed for a preliminary injunction to stop the enforcement of DeSantis' new Florida map, and it's going to be heard on Friday.
That's
Of course,
fast.
it's a judge appointed by DeSantis, so that's not too good.
But that'll at least
we'll
go up the process. I don't know. It'd be fascinating what'll happen with all this. If you can stall anything long enough, but they're going to put everything through emergency status, so it'll be seen and heard as fast as possible. That's why they're going to be meeting already. So I don't anticipate this slow down the process. And it's just that usually in the past, changing maps, we should have a law against changing maps.
in the middle, right? Yeah.
In the middle of voting. There should be a law against it. I think.
But we don't, because we assume that people would behave in a principled manner, which is clearly wrong.
Well, we talked about this so much. I kept saying, people were about to learn how much of our government is built on good faith. All of it. All of it is built on good faith. You're going to follow. They're telling the Democrats in Virginia to go against the Supreme Court and implement the maps with them saying and there's nothing to stop them from doing that, technically. The Supreme Court then can rule against it.
I think they should. I think we're done playing nice.
Yeah, they don't.
We're done playing nice.
Well, courts
We should be done playing nice.
Well, courts don't have jurisdiction over the sovereignty of what the state decides to do. Only the Constitution that gives the rights to the people to oversee certain things. So it's like this. It gets a little complicated because it's all built on just everyone agreeing to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, court orders are enforceable by police. That's pretty much it. Everything else is
like when all else fails.
but if you can't get that, then nothing is enforceable, and it's all good faith. We don't have a secret police or government police that, when the government is to fall, the government police show up and arrest them all. I mean,
Yet.
Good point. Yeah, and if we do, it's not going to be to make it fairer. It's not going to be to make.
No.
No, it's not. The same thing's happening with the DNC chair. They're trying to push him out, and the people, you have to explain to the people who are happy about it. Yeah, but the people that are trying to replace him are not trying to make him more progressive. They're upset that he's catering to progressives at all, which just leads to confused looks on people's faces as they're catering to us. What are you talking about? There's a group of conservatives in the party who feel that the progressives are being catered too much to right now.
And that's why they didn't release the DNC autopsy?
I don't know. I mean, do they even need to release the autopsy? I feel like it just shows they're wasting money. It just shows they're wasting money. That's all it is.
Yeah. I'm just saying, how are they catering to the progressives?
Right.
They're not.
Right. They're not. They're not at all. But there are people who feel that that's still too much catering. No catering is too much catering.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, dinner's gonna suck if there's no catering. Yeah, for real, it's it's terrible. So, and that's true of everything. It's most of the push, whenever Shaw Capital starts talking about Novavax, you're just This is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad. There's no way. Oh, someone's talking about Novavax, and you're like, no, they're gonna be talking about how Novavax should sell to somebody else so that they can get paid. That's all they're gonna talk about.
The financial aspect of
Yeah, that's all they care about.
somebody winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need something like we need to have like the because there's no like real coordinated, organized push to do anything from the public. Like the public is so disoriented, and there isn't good leadership. So there just isn't a lot of.
Well,
push
I
to
wish
do
we could
anything.
get some clarity on what progressive and left actually mean, because there's two different things. And I mean, there's progressive, identity, LGBTQ, gay marriage, all that stuff. And then there's economic progressive. They're not the same, and everybody's getting them confused.
Well, I think leftists. Now, this term existed before the 2016. Obviously it's been around forever, but we really saw a return to it after the 2016 primary push, and it was used as a tool to distinguish people who were like more aligned with communism, because leftists, right, communists, so they're on the leftist sort of thing. And so I always thought that it could just be that they're like the leftmost leftist. I'm the leftist person. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like most people identify more with like the communism aspect, and they end up not being as left as they think they do a lot of times.
But I think when Joe Voter says Democrats are too far left, I don't like those progressives, I think he's talking about identity politics. He doesn't like that.
Maybe.
Most of them do like economic populism.
Maybe. We were talking about libertarianism.
I don't want no trans girls in my daughter's bathroom. That's what he's talking about.
We were talking about libertarianism infecting everything. Joe Rogan was saying that.
Oh,
That was me. That was me again with the damn libertarians.
Yeah, that was you.
poisoning everybody's
Yeah,
brain.
you were saying libertarianism infecting everything. Points I feel like we have a version of communism that is partially libertarian, because like communism as a concept would lean more towards the socialism aspect of it, but there are people that lean away from the social aspect and into the individual version of it. So it's very much like, well, they didn't do anything to help me. Well, it was I got screwed over. Well, this thing happened, and but there's this individualism injected into it where, like they're not communists that care about the community and like the making the people strong.
Right. They're not interested in the common good. They're
Right.
not interested in the common good.
Right.
They're not interested in community.
They're not willing to sacrifice to try to make things better. And that's where I feel like the
They don't- yeah.
libertarian
For anybody else except them.
I feel like when you add communism and libertarianism, you just end up with nihilism. Because you end up just kind of like believing in nothing at a certain point. Because when you remove the community from communism and make it about individualism, you don't believe in anything anymore. Because you're not standing up for the thing you're identifying with, and then you're also just being a libertarian, which is pretty. It just tends to be pretty nihilist. It was like the main reason why I went through my looking at libertarianism phase, and I was just like, it just seems like they don't really believe in anything other than just like themselves.
it's just a childish ideology, really. Like it's just thinking about yourself and what rights you have for you, and not how it affects the bigger picture of other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the heart of libertarianism.
Well, even when you talk about like egalitarianism, which gets covered into libertarianism a lot, that's like the same sort of thing. Because egalitarianism is like, I care that everyone should have the things that they need to survive, and when you remove that from it just leads to like nihilism. You don't believe anything. There has to be a common good aspect to it. That's just my personal sense. So we talk about progressive versus leftist, right? There's all this complex theory about leftist, communism, how all these things interact, what it all means. But I feel like what it really comes down to is that it was a great way to divide people from taking progressive action within the party. So, like, progressive action is about you're progressing and trying to change things. And that's also why, man, I'm just having to think of all kinds of phrases I don't usually say anymore. The incremental change, right? We talk about incremental change, which is such a bad word on the left. and it should be, by the way, incremental change. But here's the problem. Incremental change is not a objective idea. It's a subjective idea, depending on the actual segment of time that the change happens in. So if change takes a generation, that's obviously too freaking long. Some things do take a generation, but should they? Yeah, no, that's awful. And they try to sell that to young people like, no, you have to keep things the same because you have to incrementally change things. But the truth is that all change is incremental, and you have to decide at which increment you propose change. Either you propose change over short periods or you propose change over long periods. But people complaining about incremental change because of the long period perspective throw out the short period, and that's the problem. So incremental change inherently is not bad. It's just the version of it where the increment of time is really long is. And that's the version they're selling to people from the party that doesn't want things to change because they're trying to maintain quarterly. That's what the corporate wants. Little regulation, not a lot of shift, and then that way they can maintain their quarterly gains, and then the stock, that's how they increase their value personally. And that's what they spend money on to get into. And that's what we're fighting when you're trying to make things better, because are you making things better where the stock market is better, where things continually get worse for the people, or are you doing things that make things better for people, and then maybe the stocks do well, maybe they don't, but it's a little more of a gamble. So I do feel like a lot of this, and I think we don't talk about enough, is they're taking the gambling out of the stock market by using the Democrats to like keep things the same. And then if Republicans take power because people aren't happy with the Democrats, well, they'll give everything corporations want anyway, so there's no incentive. And you can say the same thing about, you could just as easily say corporations are Israel at this point, because it's sort of like they both have similar interests in like keeping things the same. We already cater to them, so they just don't need to change the catering, which I feel like has been really a kind of a thing tonight.
The labels, though, are weird because everybody has their sort of own idea about what the labels mean. And we really should just be talking about, like, what do we want? Like, what is this change that we want? What do we, how do we want to make the world better specifically,
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of, oh, you're a communist, you're a leftist, you're whatever, we want good schools, we want universal health care, we want clean air, clean water.
Yeah. We want the best possible results for the most amount of people in the world. I think it's international. At least that's the way I think about it. Like, it's not just here; it's everywhere. But that's just my opinion.
Judging by how you talk about Iran, I probably pretty much already got that idea. So, very passionate. I would say, what's interesting about us in this group and this subject is that we're actually, this came up a lot in the naming of our group of Organizing for a Better Tomorrow. Because I was specifically referring to the increment of change is one day at a time. So when you look at Organizing for Better Tomorrow, it's every day is we're organizing for hopefully tomorrow will be better. Which I gotta be honest, this is not going great this year, but it could improve. I don't think it's our fault. I don't think it's our fault.
Yeah.
No,
Definitely not our fault.
But I definitely think that was kind of like hardwired into what we were trying to do by saying, Organizing for Better Tomorrow is sort of like an everyday thing where you try to make tomorrow a little better. Whether it's just people being informed or not letting conspiracy theories spread or spreading the right conspiracy theory. Just gotta say, I feel like anytime someone tries to stick with the status quo, I'm like, what? Just tell me one thing that's considered a conspiracy theory that you believe. And if they got nothing, they're full of shit. They're either lying about it or they're just getting. I don't know. I don't trust them. They should believe in something. Too many people be like, only believe the official record, Don. The official record is the official record. The history writes history. Or excuse me, the winner writes history. The winner writes history.
Just like Trump, the winner gets the spoils.
Giant gold stupid statues of himself is what he's thinking of. I don't even know. Or is the spoils when he shits himself in front of a room full of people? Where are we going with that?
Yeah, it's stealing the oil. It's all that stuff.
By the way, just so everyone's on the same page, I wanted him prosecuted for January 6th for treason. Like, I wanted him, in jail for treason for January 6th. Like, the whole Biden administration. So people are like, oh, you don't seem like you care. Shut up. I care a lot. Man, this never should have happened. And it goes back to why we shouldn't put the same laissez-faire Democrats back into power, because they're not like that because it's the right way to be. They're like that because that allows their corporate. Can I say overlords? Is that too far? I feel like the corporate overlords. That's what they want to hear. So, it's good for the markets, guys. You gotta think about the markets. So, speaking about things that are bad for the markets, more Trump. No, we got, so we've had this hantavirus thing. We'll be watching for more outbreaks, 40-day cycles. It seems like it's more on like 21-day cycles. We'll see. Hopefully by Thursday, I don't know. We're probably going to have more patients. I'd say we have more positive patients in the next week. Hopefully not that many.
If that's the case, I guess people should stop saying close contact.
I think people are misunderstanding what close contact means, though. And I did look up some iterations of close contact where they're like 30 minutes talking to somebody or something like that. But it's more like if they're in your face for a second. Like, it depends on how far. Like, if they're right up against, like, if you make out, that's only takes one instant of close contact. If you have sex, same thing. But if you're like talking to a person at like 5-6 feet, then it can take a little. It could do it right away, but on average, it's going to take a while for it to reach you. But if you like pass somebody in a narrow hallway, so it's like the closer the contact, the less amount of time it takes, and the longer or the further the contact, the more time it takes. But it could do it very quickly too. If someone some people talk when you like, and you ever seen somebody like literally talk and the spit from their mouth literally goes to the other person's mouth? You ever seen that happen? I've seen that happen.
Sure.
That's 1 second. That's making out with the person.
Yeah. It's a big droplet.
Yeah, exactly. So that's instant close contact. So when you think about close contact, like I feel like saying it's like the variable should be the closer you are, the less time the contact requires, and the further you are, the more contact might be required. Because, like I said, you can still do it fast. So,
Yeah. I just think take the precaution, take the airborne precaution, and just safety first.
I mean, the COVID conscious community is still mass. It's just going to if this goes bad, we're just going to watch the world melt. It's going to be awful. I don't want that at all. It is something to talk about on the show, but we can talk about anything else. Plenty of bad things to talk about. I don't need new bad things. It's only an hour show. We're already an hour 15 minutes. Please, no more. Please.
Bring out the aliens.
Yeah, bring out the aliens. Oh my god. And then the guy from Blink-182 was right. I don't know if you remember when the guy from Blink-182 left the band to go prove that aliens were real.
No.
Oh yeah, I think he's back with the band. Yeah, it was a whole thing. He did
he succeed?
Yeah, he did. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with, like, aliens, like, I'm making jokes. Like, yeah, they did. They found all kinds of weird stuff, but like, nothing confirmed like is real. They're all those fake alien bodies and all those sort of things. They get X-rayed and it's like a cat bones or something. Like, I ended up on one of those subreddits randomly where they're like doing all that stuff, and it's all fake. It's all just very, very good fakes. There was one that I was looking at, being like, okay, that's weird. I'll give it that. But usually if these things don't get debunked, you would think you'd hear about it. Everything gets debunked for the most part.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now they're gonna make me by Thursday's call. The aliens will have landed, and I'll be like, "Well, it was wrong again, folks."
The aliens are going to make us eat our words.
Oh man! Hopefully that's all they make us eat, because they
They're
might.
eating rat poop.
Yeah, there you go.
Just if everything fails, you can always move to Alberta. They're the only place below Antarctica that has no rats. They do have humans though, which apparently spread this now, but no rats in Alberta. They have a very extensive rat control. Apparently, and I should end the show, but apparently Alberta is covered by like high mountains, except for like one narrow portal on the east side of the province. And so they set up like a demilitarized zone version, but for rats, where it's like a yellow strip and everything is poisoned. And then they do these really extensive rat killing things. Like the only good rat is a dead rat. That's an actual ad campaign that Alberta put together. I saw the poster today. It's like, how did I not know this is a thing? Like this is a real. That was a real. The only dead rat. That was a real thing for rats. No.
When you first said it, I thought it was some sort of like, something that nature just something that happened. This is something.
No,
that man
they
has
did
done.
it. Yeah, it started in the 1950s.
Yeah.
And it's illegal to own rats. There was some freak out over rats that caused it. There were, whatever. No hantavirus for whatever it's worth. But I hope they get it under control, and I hope that by next show... Well, it'll still be... We're going to get a good, couple weeks of content out of this. We got 40-day cycles. So I don't afraid, but I really do hope that this is just it. I hope we get a couple cases, and we wrap them up, and that's the end of it. That would be really, really fantastic. I don't think it's going to happen. There's going to be at least one more round of cases. And the people who were on the plane, the first plane, and then the people who were on the second plane, they're still in their dates of coming out of it. And then we don't know about the 30 patients, the 30 potential people who left with her, 30 to 40. They don't even have a solid number. And then we don't know who else people were interacting with who were testing positive now. Like the people who are testing positive now, hopefully they didn't interact with anyone. But a lot of them were like, they started showing symptoms on the plane, which means they were infectious for the 2 days leading up to that. So it's... I would say almost certainly we're going to end up with at least a pocket of cases in another 40 days. And then hopefully after that or 22 days, hopefully that'll be the end of it. But we'll see. We'll see. So I think that's it. Did you have anyone have anything they want to plug or do anything? I mean, if you like what we're doing, please consider making a contribution. All the stuff's on my personal account for my Linktree. You can also follow, like, share. I forgot to tell people to like this. If for some reason you don't tell people to like the post, they forget to like the post. So take a second, like, retweet. And hey, if you retweet with like a little message, I'll retweet that. Everybody wins, except the audience who's now forced to listen to this because of guilt. Anyways, I hope everyone has as good of a time as they can. Jesse, any final anything? Anybody?
Hang in there and stay safe.
And Paulie, 2 shows in a row is starting to make me think this is a thing. I kind of like it.